Okay, guys, I'm gonna give you a few minutes to get in here, but today the trial of Robert Sylvester Kelly has begun. One of the key witnesses for the state for the government has taken a stand. Her name is Diana Copeland, and what we believe Diana Copeland will do is provide a timeline in which she can tell the jury her involvement as far as it related to working for Mr. Kelly. She was also responsible in a lot of instances of procuring flight tickets for some of the alleged victims. So her testimony is important, and it's important because the government is trying to show a pattern of behavior as it relates to R. Kelly. One of the things that they're looking for is proof that Mr. Kelly transported victims, alleged victims, over state lines. And one of the ways to do that is for them to put on his personal assistant of close to 20 years. So Diane Copeland is a crucial part of the government's case. And is while she's been his employee for close to 20 years, people are probably wondering why all these people coming in to provide testimony against R. Kelly. Well, what what has not been revealed to the public, and I'm going to share some things with you that people will put things in context as it relates to listening to some of the witnesses as they take the stand and testify against Mr. Kelly. We've heard Holly Calhoun testify. We've heard from she was one of the key last witnesses, but we've heard from other witnesses or accusers who have provided graphic detail as to their relationship with the singer. Now, you must understand, listening to the examination of these witnesses, one of the things the prosecutors were careful to do is ask them the key question: did you have sex with other individuals other than Mr. Kelly? And did you have sex with other females other than Mr. Kelly? So here's the problem here for the witnesses. This is a RICO federal case. The government needs corroborating witnesses to substantiate the government's case. These witnesses have two options. And if any one of these witnesses or alleged victims slept with someone under the age, then guess what? They could be facing a child molestation charge. And certain alleged victims would fall in that category. Well, I'm not going to say their names, but a lot of these people who are taking the stand could also have been subjected to the racketeering charge and or other related charges. So a lot of witnesses are cooperating because they have to cooperate. If they don't cooperate, then they too can face charges along with Mr. Kelly. So when you see it, there's only one or two other people, and in this case, it's only Mr. Kelly on trial. But in Chicago, there are other individuals are on trial. So how the government is going to make this very difficult case against Mr. Kelly is they're going to have to show that these individuals engaged in behavior that was criminal, that went over state lines, that had an element in which they can prove to convict Mr. Kelly. So when you see witnesses like Holly Calhoun testify, you wonder if Mr. Kelly treated her very nicely. But she also gave testimony that she had a relationship or a sexual relationship with other females. She testified that there were only 4 to 5 females that she engaged with. And that was Juice, that was AZ, Ezreal Clary, that was Joycelyn Savage, and I believe it was Dominique. So she was when she met Mr. Kelly, she was like 19, 20 years old. So you have to ask yourself a question. Did she engage in any behavior that falls in the realm of criminality? And the most obvious charge would be what I just alluded to earlier. So that's one of the reasons how the government can get these witnesses to come in. Hey, you don't testify. In this case, she's telling on you, so you either tell on Mr. Kelly or we're going to put a case on you. So this is why you don't see too many witnesses, or you don't see no one being charged in this particular case along with Mr. Kelly. So I would say that some of these witnesses don't have a choice, but I will also say that some of these witnesses may have embellished the truth, or may have just made up the story, or may have been factual. So they fall into three categories. But I would say that the RICO case is the way it is because of these corroborating witnesses. So say, for example, they could have indicted all these individuals. They just need a few people to substantiate a situation where they witnessed firsthand as to what is alleged what Mr. Kelly did. And then if, say, for example, I'll use Joycelyn as an example. You know, Joycelyn and Israel had a fight. They had a fight at the Trump Towers in Chicago. And listening to that video, someone said, and I believe it was Israel, said something about being underage. So then we asked a question. If Joycelyn is expected to testify for the defense, with the allegation that Israel made on video, would that create a problem for Joycelyn if she's testifying for the defense? We don't know. But there are so many moving parts here that you have to understand the way this government's laying the case out. And it seems repetitive when from witness to witness to witness to witness when they're giving testimony. It seems very repetitive. But what the government's trying to do is show the jury a pattern of behavior, and they're getting these witnesses to not say, but testify to similar behavior or similar transactions. So now it's coming down to the wire with this witness that's on the stand today, Diana Copeland, who was Mr. Kelly's personal assistant, who many of the witnesses have testified that they contacted her for her to book flight arrangements. For example, you had Faith Rogers, who testified that she had requested flight tickets to see Mr. Kelly at least 4 different times, from New York to Chicago to LA and back to New York. Who booked the tickets? Well, they're putting on the person that allegedly booked these flight tickets. And the person that booked these flight tickets also could have been charged with a crime in a RICO case or a conspiracy case. In this case, she booked the flight tickets. So there's a nexus to her involvement in what is alleged by the government. Now, I'm guessing that there were plea deals, or maybe not even a plea deal, but something to the effect that if you don't testify that you did X, Y, Z, you too will be facing a federal charge. And we all know just the history of the government mounting a charge or a case against someone. Their conviction rate is 98% conviction rate. So do you think these young ladies are going to want a chance a federal case for the sake of saving Mr. Kelly or helping Mr. Kelly? So when I listened to the witness testimony, I asked the question, what are their motivations? How did they get these witnesses to come in and to flip on Mr. Kelly? Well, the most logical way for a government to make a case is they need witnesses. If none of these individuals testify against Mr. Kelly, for one reason or another, they would have no case. But there's also other motivating factors that one should consider. Financial motivation. I'm not saying that these witnesses have financial motivation, but you did see, for example, Holly Calhoun testified that she was paid $1,000 to $1,500 to appear in the Surviving R. Kelly Part 2. And by the way, there's a production crew that is in the courtroom that is planning on making a Surviving R. Kelly 3. So my question with that, when I learned that information last week, my question is, has any of these witnesses who have already testified made a deal with the production company? Will we see any of these witnesses providing any type of content to this next documentary? Because if they are, that might be another issue that can be raised by the defense if there's a conviction. So there are so many moving parts. There's so many different things that are occurring. And I would just say that when we listen to the witness testimony from inside the courtroom, not from your couch, not from your office, but actually listening to the witness testimony, you will see different things that you won't see from listening to your couch, sitting from your couch. You will see a person's demeanor. You will see how a person reacts to a question. You will hear the tone in which they answer a question. And I've seen a lot just being inside the courtroom, watching these witnesses provide testimony. Some of them have come across as credible, and others have not. Others have actually made members of the press look at them sideways, like, really? That really happened that way? So, yeah, and I'm going to be talking more about the particular witnesses as they finish their testimony. But when you look at the reporting and you see people providing commentary based on reporting, also understand that if they're not there, they really don't get the essence of a person's testimony. And that's big. It's so big, from the jury selection to the charging of the jury by the judge. All that is important. And I spoke earlier by way of tweet, the sidebars are being called by the judge. There are a high number of sidebars that are being called by the judge. And I have a problem with that, because that can affect the outcome of a case. Too many jury sees these sidebars, and they can deduct from these sidebars depending upon how many times the judge is calling sidebars. If she's calling one, if the defense is arguing a case and she's calling sidebar after the sidebar, then the jury might say, is the defense doing a good job? Why is the judge giving them a timeout, telling them to approach the bench? Or in the case of, I saw it maybe 2 or 3 times since I've become the trial that the judge called a sidebar from the prosecution side. So it can be an issue on appeal if Mr. Kelly is convicted. Now remember, this federal judge has a lifetime appointment, barring an impeachment because of some egregious behavior. She's sitting there for life. So you can be mad at the judge, but at the end of the day, whatever is viewed as done wrong in this case, his defense must raise these issues. The defense must raise these issues. And the prosecution, from my perspective, the prosecution is, getting a lot of help. You got an unlimited budget to prosecute the case. You have a judge who is paid by the government, and you have a lot going against Mr. Kelly right now. While he has a really good legal team, especially Devereaux Canick, he's a very good attorney. He was been successfully able to cross-examine witnesses to raise a shadow of doubt. Now, how that translates to the jury, it's a lot. You hear witness after witness after witness testify that this happened to them or this allegedly happened to them. And the jury has to unpack a lot when they go into that jury room. They have to unpack a lot. They have to look at everything in totality. They have to take good notes. And one of the things that's a problem for journalists covering the trial is we don't have covering the trial from inside. We don't have the availability of looking at the jurors. Whenever I cover trials, I look at the jury. I look at the exchange. I look at the exchange between lawyers and who the jury is more likely to favor. Because if a jury doesn't like a lawyer, guess what? Your client is screwed. Or if the jury doesn't like a prosecutor, then the case is going to favor the defendant. So there's a lot of things that you can gain from watching the jury. Watch the whole courtroom, but right now we have only 3/4 of the view of the court. We don't have an opportunity to see the jury except when they come in and they leave. So you're watching juries. This is why this case is going to be difficult for anyone to call. You know, if someone speculates based on this, you know, what I've heard, I think he's going to get convicted, or based on what I heard, he's going to be acquitted. You know, this is one of the hardest cases I've ever had to cover. And I tell you, listening to people, these alleged victims' accounts of what they said happened to them or what is alleged to happen to them, it's a lot to listen to. It's painful actually to have to just listen to someone having to tell a story, these stories. But it is, you know, it's not absolute evidence. But listening to it, you have to have a certain type of psyche to really take all this in, especially someone with daughters. You know, this is just hard to listen to. You know, this is just a lot to listen to. And the government knows that. You know, just looking at the makeup of the jury, you know, you have, I think 3-4 men, you have women on there, and just listening to this, it's a lot to listen to, But juries have ruled. They had to listen to a lot of stuff like this, before, and they've ruled. You know, they were able to come to a decision. Could I be on that jury? I don't know. I probably couldn't be on that jury. Yeah, I couldn't be on that jury. But I've been called for jury duty. Those type of cases I really don't want to sit on, for a number of reasons. I'll tell you, I'm gonna share the story with you later on, but for a number of reasons. But yeah, that's it. I'm gonna read some comments because I see some coming through. So I gotta put my eyes on. Let's see what comments I got here. Let me just see here. Okay, guys, just give me a second here. Alrighty. I'm about to pull your comments up. Just give me a second here. Some comments are here. All right, guys. I have to. I'm not gonna read the comments right now. When I come back, I'll answer a few questions. I decided to also start reporting from my channel just because I've seen others take the videos from my Instagram and post it on their page. Just a word to the wise. I would suggest you take the video down. Especially if you're putting it on, I don't get credit for it. Like, come on, what are you guys doing? Like, really, we doing that? I mean, at least hit the Cash App, do something. Just don't just take the footage. Don't do that. I mean, it costs a lot to cover this, and I also want you to support Hollywood Next, because she's doing an outstanding job as well. We've spent thousands of dollars to cover this trial of our own resources. You got to understand that. I don't live in New York. I live in Atlanta. And she doesn't live in New York. She lives somewhere else. So we spent thousands and thousands of dollars just to cover this. So the least you guys can do is support the work that we are doing by paying for it, requesting a license, but just don't take the content. Don't do that. I mean, it's unfair, borders on that, it's unethical. You can provide a link. You can send a DM, the request usage of footage. Don't get your channel struck because you just didn't want to acknowledge the people that actually did the coverage. Don't do that. Just like you go to work and you work 40 hours and you payday comes and your boss says, I ain't got a check for you. Why you got a check for me? I just don't have a check for you. You'll be upset. So yeah, just, support what we're doing. And, you're donating to a lot of these channels that are actually not even investing any money to come and cover this. They haven't even invested in their own content. So yeah, just look at that. Just, it's not asking for a handout. I make good money for what I do, but I only make the money when people like you support what I do and support what, the other, some journalists work for brands. They work for big companies. And they have the budget for this. When you're doing it on your own dime, you want to recoup from your expenses. It's math, it's economics. It just makes sense. So all I'm saying is just don't go stealing videos. I've already sent certain links to my agent and my attorney. Just, we're gonna look at the channel, we're gonna see what they're doing. And some may get passed. But don't let me scroll through your videos and see that we get no acknowledgement and you're just running the video. That's, you know my Instagram, my Twitter, at Mr. Dennis Byron. Send me a DM, ask, because I've had channels taken down for less. But yeah, just, you're a fan of, or you're you're a fan of the victims, or you're a fan of the accused. I get that. I know you want to provide commentary based on what's being provided to you. Just support the people that are providing the content who are actually going out and doing the work. Just do that. That's all I ask. Because I see you guys are paying for transcripts. You're paying for transcripts, court transcripts, at a high fee. Someone sent me something today and said they paid $300 for a transcript. The transcripts per page from the court is 10 cents a page. So if you get 10 pages, you got to pay $1. If you get 20 pages, you got to pay $2. You get 30 pages, you got to pay $3. Not $300. So I don't know where that number's coming from, unless the court reporter is providing overcharging, because I never pay that much for a transcript. And you only get a transcript because you're not there. You want to just make sure you're keeping a accurate reporting of what occurred in the courtroom. So I'm seeing a lot of comments. I'm sorry, guys. I tell you, I see a lot of comments coming in here. Right, exactly. That's someone said, without our own investigation, the government may have screwed R. Kelly or a defendant. So yes, I mean, the government puts their case on, defense put their case on, but you still have to research and do your own research on certain things. People have sent me so much information on this case as I've been covering it, and so if anyone's coming in joining right now, you just have to watch the entire video from the point of me stopping it, and you'll get to understand what's happening. I'm not going to repeat myself. You show up late to the party, you're tardy for the party. You got to be here when I go live. Get a notification, go join in. But yeah, just go ahead and look at the video. But yes, the last thing I said I want you guys to pay close attention to is support the content. Okay, I'm seeing the content now. Okay. I can't talk right now. Someone says, let me read this. Someone says, so you're another person who wants to make money off of R. Kelly and Hollywood Nexus. Okay, let me explain something to the slow people, because most people get business. I've been doing media for 30 years. It costs to do what I do. I don't care if you're R. Kelly or you're Donald Trump. It costs to do what I do. So it doesn't have anything to do with the individual. It costs for me to do what I do. No different than it costs CNN to pay for real estate, pay for their employees. This is a business. If you study business, you understand that it costs to operate a business. So media is a business. What you hope to get is the integrity of the person or persons that are doing the business. So that's, yeah, we have to make money in order for us to do what we do. We have to. Whoever is doing this job, I expect them to get paid to do the job effectively. Let me read another question. Okay, I'm sorry, the sound's going in and out. You know why? Because I got my AC on. It is hot out here, so you might be, let me turn this down. If I start sweating like a pig, you know why. Hold on, I'm turning the air down. Okay, give me a 1 if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Give me a 1 real quick. Give me a 1 real quick, because I got to get out of here. Give me a 1. If you can hear me, give me a 1. Thank you. I don't care if you would support someone or not support someone. That's what you don't do is not what I do. What makes you crap don't make me crap. So whatever you decide you want to do, that's on you. That's why you can have your own brand and do your own job. You don't, when you're coming and say, well, I don't support that person, that's you. You can't speak for someone else. You cannot speak for someone else what they wouldn't do. Just keep focused. Keep focused. Let's see what I got here. 1, good. Okay. Let's see. Who else I got? Can you please speak to? Okay. Wait a minute. That name looks familiar. I gotta check something. I want to make sure who I'm talking to here. Thank you. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the support. Okay, someone asked me, how do I think the case is going for Mr. Kelly? It's if I say 50-50, I don't like doing that. I don't like guessing someone's outcome, but I think the defense is doing a good job. The prosecution, I know the prosecution is overcharged in this case. And I would say that there are other motivating factors why this case is moving forward. But I think that they have to throw the book at him and see what sticks. They have to they don't have to, but they have elected in this particular case to throw the book at him and see what sticks. And there are a lot of people, I said this before, there are a lot of people to blame in this case for even going this far. It's a lot of people that have accountability. A lot of people. But because Mr. Kelly is a big name, obviously, and a big, he's like, the guy has some of the best music, R&B music. Like, he's a music genius. And people are making their careers off of his name. I will say that. People are making a career off of Mr. Kelly's name. And for me, it's another case. But for a lot of people, this is a make or break situation for them. They have done things, and they have done things, they've said things, and if Mr. Kelly is acquitted, there are a lot of people going to have egg on their face. But if he's convicted, there are other opportunities for people. And if that makes any sense to anyone, there's a bigger picture here. It's not just Mr. Kelly and I'm just reading the comment. It's not just Mr. Kelly and just a charge. There is a lot that rests on him winning and or losing for different people for different reasons. So let's not be naive to think that this case is just about a man who has I don't want to classify, him as anything that suggests he's guilty or innocent. I would just say that there's a lot resting on this. It's bigger than just Mr. Kelly. There are a lot of players involved here. And if you've seen the video, there was a video that is being featured on TMZ where the prosecutor was walking in the courtroom. There were prosecutors, and then you had U.S. Marshals. You have probably 4 or 5 prosecutors on this case. With the head prosecutor, there's a head of the division on this particular case. Literally, there's the courtroom. The courthouse is a big courthouse. Do you know Mr. Kelly's was only one trial in that whole courthouse? And this is, what, a 10-story, 15-story building? One trial. One floor for the case. One floor. His supporters aren't able to be inside the courtroom where the jury can see his supporters. See, here, just think about this. I'm trying to unpack a lot. I want you guys to understand. When you are on trial in a criminal case, the jury looks at the amount of support that is in the gallery. They look at that. They look at the support in the gallery. In this particular case, they are not able to see that. They do not know that there are protesters outside shouting "Free R. Kelly." They do not know, and they should not know what's going on in the media. They should not know. So they don't really have a full understanding of the support he has or lack thereof. Because right now it's just, you got to look at it's Mr. Kelly, it's Attorney Becker, it's Koenig, and it's one other attorney on the defense side. Then on the prosecution side, you have your U.S. Marshals, you have your 3 lawyers, and and then you have the jury and the witness that testifies. But when they don't see, juries don't see support in the courtroom, and it's so many things that's going against Mr. Kelly right now. And I just have to be real. I've covered too many trials. In a trial like this, if it wasn't COVID, a pandemic, if we still have one, COVID, the courtroom would be packed. It would be packed. If this trial was held in 2019, that courtroom would be packed. It would be so packed, unbelievable. It's even a disinterest in a lot of media outlets for covering it. For I don't know what reason why not, but their outlets cover it. Like Court TV's there today. They haven't been there. But anyway, I'm gonna read a few more questions. I don't go live a lot, so guys, so just bear with me. I would hope they're not searching the media, but when a jury is not sequestered, they can do anything. They have, for example, you have a household of young Gen Zs, and in the house you may have some Gen X and Gen Zs in the house, and you have parents who are sitting on the jury, and the kids know that their parents are sitting on the jury. And the kids will say, "Hey, Ma, you on this jury? Did you know that this is what this blog said?" Well, they're not watching the media, but they can be informed by someone in the household. So this is when the jury's not sequestered. This also is that's a disadvantage for that's really a disadvantage for Mr. Kelly when the juries are not sequestered in a case like this. It's just so many things that when we do the wrap up, no matter which way the case goes, we want to talk about all that. So there's a lot of things that at play here, and the psyche of what's going on in the courtroom is important for juries. Interrupt calling sidebars during a cliffhanger in a defense cross-examination. You're like, what was he about to ask? Let's have a sidebar here. So like, a lot of stuff should have been covered in pre-trial, in my opinion. The things that they're being addressed should have been covered in pre-trial. Interrupting someone's case is like just unfortunate. Okay, I'm just read some more comments. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna read some more. I see some coming here. There's a lot of comments here, guys. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna take it to the top. I know I probably passed over someone. Okay, here we go. What we got here? Okay, so I keep seeing people say, you're making money off his name. You're making money off his name. You're making money off his name. I'm doing my job. I get paid to do what I do. If you have a problem with that, turn the channel. That's all. The most popular bloggers are making money off other people's name. They make a living doing that. And half of them don't even do the work. You know, so don't be mad at someone who's actually doing the work, making the investments, because if you spend, again, you spend $3,000 of your own money, you want to be able to recoup your expenses at minimum. If you recoup your expenses, and it's a wash, no one's making a benefit off it. You're just recovering from your expenses. Yeah, just understand that, you know. All right, here we go. What we got here? Someone asked me, do I believe the females? I have. Again, I point out what I see. For example, if a victim testifies that certain things happened to her, and the report is presented to this person, the person says, I never said that, I have an issue with that. Again, if a police report is presented where specific details are alleged, and then you're presented with you made this report 2 years ago, and then, not that I don't remember, but you said unequivocally, I didn't say that. I don't know how that got in the report. So that means you're either lying or the police manufactured evidence or information in this complaint. So you have to look at witnesses based on the evidence that they present in open court. You have to look at that. And if someone says they never said something in a police report, that's an issue. Or if someone says, my lawyer said, I'm not knowledge, or you might be not telling the truth. So yeah, it's you have to look. I can't do a collective of all the witnesses. I say all these witnesses lie. I'm not going to say that. I can't do that. What I'm saying is each witness's testimony has to measure up. It has to make sense. You cannot say you're being held captive, but you have a phone where you can dial 911. You have a phone where you can dial 911. And you have a phone for 3 days. You cannot just say you're being held captive and you have the ability to call for help. I have a problem with that. I also have a problem with you're a young woman, you go to a recording studio you've never been to, you travel from another state, and someone says to you that you never met before, do you have protection? And you tell the jury that you wondered why he asked you, did you have protection? Did he know that, that you just came from a gas station that looked dangerous, so he asked you that didn't make any sense. So then when he says, I'm talking about condoms, at that point, when he said that to you, you should have left the building. What the hell do you think I'm here for? I'm here to do an interview. Why would you ask me for, do I have a condom? A red flag should have came in your head like, let me get the out of here. Something's about to go down. I'm not going to walk further down this dark alley when I already see that I'm up here in some BS. Let's make it make sense. That's all I'm saying. Let's make these these statements make sense. You cannot say you don't use common sense when someone says that to you. If you're a female and you're coming from another place away from your family, you have your phone, you encounter someone that already gave you the bad vibes. After they said, no, you say, I'm not here for that. Okay, why would the person assume you are here for that if that really actually happened? They ask you that kind of question. At that point, I'm out the door, I'm calling, saying, hey, is this interview happening? Come on, don't put yourself in a uncomfortable position and you won't have to deal with the foolishness. That's all I'm saying. Again, if the testimony doesn't add up, you have to look at the weight of someone's testimony. And if you've been on this planet long enough time, you're able to have a discernment for information, details, the likelihood or the non-likelihood something happened. This is what the jury have to think about. They have to use their life experience with listening to evidence and weigh it based on what is most practical. Not what's a picture someone painted for you, but what are the flaws in that picture that's being painted? You got to ask yourself those questions. And then this other witness testified, the same witness, Sonia, testified that she lost her luggage. She realized someone threw it. It was just so much, and I'm gonna put the transcript. I'm gonna put a verbatim account of her testimony. But it was just so much that I had issues with. So much. And then you say something happened to you. You wake up, something happened to you, and the first thing you do is walk over and give someone a hug that you believe that's just assaulted you based on the condition you said you woke up to. You walk up to that person and you allow that person to hug you, but you knew you was violating, but you go up to that person and give them a hug, because that's your testimony. You went over to the person, Mr. Kelly, and gave him a hug, but you said to the jury, you were violated, but you walked up to him and gave him a hug. I'm just asking the ladies out there, does that make sense? If it makes sense, give me a 1. If it doesn't make sense, give me a 2. The guy, does it make sense? That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. You never got your interview. Then you testified you stayed there for days longer. Okay, you've been violated. You didn't get your interview, but you stayed there for days later. But you still got your phone. Make it make sense. That's all I'm saying. So to answer that person's question, some things is just not plausible. Some things just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. But the jury has to look at all this evidence or lack of evidence to come to a conclusion. Because you gotta remember, there's a lot coming to this jury. A lot's coming to them. They have to listen to so much. The graphic, the believable, the non-believable. Oh, here's another one. Here's another one. I'm gonna leave at this last one from another witness, Faith Rogers. You tell the jury that there was a gun in the room, so you felt intimidated because there was a gun in the room. Now, this is not your first encounter with the singer, sexual encounter with the singer, but this one instance, there was a gun in the room. You testified to this. There was a gun in the room. Not that he held the gun and said, do these sexual acts. She said there was a gun in the room. And shame on you, that media outlet that called you out, because she never testified that he held the gun and requested sexual acts. What she testified was there was a gun in the room nearby. And I would not make any excuses for the R. Kelly, but I would say that a person of that stature will likely have a firearm nearby because you can get robbed. And your security is not in your bedroom or in your suite. I'm just saying, you gotta look at both sides. So you testify there was a gun in the room, but then you leave, you request to come back. You leave, you had sexual acts, you leave, then you ask his assistant to book you another flight to come back to see Mr. Kelly on another instance. So she's giving testimony today, this assistant. You have to weigh the testimony with the evidence when you're looking at these type of cases. Because if you're abused, you're damn sure ain't coming back, and you have the ability to leave, you're not flying, requesting to come back again. Because this is some new type of Stockholm syndrome. So let's make it make sense. That's all I'm saying. Make it make sense. And if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I'm looking at it, you know, and certain things that I would say should have probably been exercised better with Mr. Kelly. You know, he had a lot of people around him. He had handlers around him. And I don't know. There's just, you know, I say there's enough blame to go all around. But guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Please leave a comment. Please tell me what you think. If you know, go follow my tweets, live tweets at Mr. Dennis Byron. And for all those people that are actually reporting on it, just report both sides. Just report both sides. That's all. Because the transcripts are, unless you're in the courtroom, a lot of stuff in the transcripts are being redacted or removed until after a person has been, a witness who has been testifies. You know, so just, you know, be fair as possible, because a lot of people are relying on the information that we put out. And this is just for the many journalists that are actually covering it and getting firsthand information. Provide defense, prosecution, what they said, and just give all as much information as you can give or you remember, you know, that's all. Because no one wants to be in that situation. No one wants to be in that situation. I don't care, you know, witness. You know, some people want to be there. Some people, this is a you know, this is a big payday for some people. But you know, I don't want to be there, but I have to be there. You know, but I have someone else there watching, you know, watching out. You know, but I'm not there. Yes, that's at Mr. Dennis Byron on Twitter and Instagram. Yes, just follow the, you know, follow the page. I appreciate you guys. And if you support what I'm doing, you can hit the Cash App. It's okay. It's all right. But don't talk crap about it. Just hit the Cash App. But shut up. That's all. At my Cash App is $ Dennis Byron. That's it. Hit it up. I don't. If you notice, I don't. You know, I don't go live a lot, but I'm gonna start going live more from this page because it just gives me a better ability to control where my content is going. And again, you guys send a DM. I'm going to be looking at pages, so make sure you give me that credit. You know, make a donation, something, do something. Because if I go to your page and see my stuff over there and you ain't, there's nothing, you know, on the other end, we're gonna have to talk. We're gonna talk. Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. You know that, you know, if you know, I don't care what journalist is doing the job. If they're doing a good job, just, you know, let them know they're doing a good job. That's motivation too. You know, that's motivation. You know, this is a lot to even cover. You know, this is a lot to even cover. It's a lot. It's a lot.
You know, it's a lot. Thank you guys. God bless you.
Keep tuning in. Appreciate you. Now let me end this.